You're on whenever you're ready.
My name is Daniel, and today I will be reading the claim that school uniforms provide significant advantages for students in grade school. My opponent's first claim is that school uniforms improve the environment of the schools. School uniforms instill discipline. Second claim is that school uniforms instill discipline in students. And the third and final claim, that school uniforms reduce discrimination amongst teens. My response to the first claim is that all the advocate provides evidence from a credible source. It is insufficient to support her first secondary claim. She states that she provides information that talks about the shift in schools utilizing uniforms as dress code, but fails to explain the effect that it has on the environment of the schools. Therefore, failing in progressing her claim that it assists in improving the environment of the schools. And then she could provide test scores or disciplinary comparison between changes in discipline or educational performance. And I have a source which states it's sociologists David Brunsma and Carrie Ruck who did a research, and they discovered that they did an 8-year-long research and discovered that requiring students to wear uniforms had no direct effect on behavioral problems or school attendance. The secondary claim was that school uniforms instill discipline in students. And the advocate states that every job has some type of required attire, and that students who wear uniforms will become accustomed to the fact that they will have to wear attire. But the use of uniforms inhibits creativity and promotes a uniform way of thinking instead of advocating for creativity. And dress codes in the workplace vary with the line of work and are often learned with maturity. And her evidence only depicts the amount of schools that have adopted uniforms, but does not demonstrate, again, fails to demonstrate the effects that they have had on the children's disciplines. And the third and final claim was that school uniforms reduce discrimination among students. She stated that they eliminate social differences, and that she even came up with the example that students, when they feel pressured, and that they feel judged by the way that they dress. But uniforms are not the only way that students receive discrimination. There's also racial discrimination, and there's also some students are discriminated by their disabilities. So that negates the fact that uniform will reduce discrimination. And she also stated that uniforms are expensive, and that students with low economic backgrounds can afford them. But when buying uniforms, parents also have to account for what the children can wear out of school. So they also have to spend money on uniforms and spend money on clothes that children will wear out of school, because they can't just be wearing uniforms out of school and everywhere they go. So in conclusion, the advocate's claims and examples are insufficient to back up her claims, and that concludes my argument.
All right, structural things are pretty fine. On the first point, you're suggesting the sufficiency of the advocate's proof on this point, but your explanation doesn't tell us why it's really not very clear how the schools have achieved this. It sounds like your argument is that there's a lack of measurable data for us to make such an evaluation. I think that that's a good press, but then you need to point out that there was, what kind of data did the advocate present? You do present your best piece of evidence right here on that first point, and that is this study that found that there was no data to support a relationship between attendance and behavior based on the school uniform policy. So we've got research that's particular to the issue that the advocate's talking about, that you do a good job providing a counterclaim for, and then explain what the evidence from the other side is so that we can compare your evidence. I think we need a little bit more contrast on that. On the second point, you've just got a general argument that says, oh, well, that's going to limit their creativity, and they need to be able to do those kinds of things too. I don't remember that the advocate's argument was all that involved on this particular issue. Your argument certainly isn't developed very much on this issue, so it just sounds like one of those cases of, like we talked about before, the kids did too, did not, and I think we need something a little bit more substantive on that point, which, by the way, I'm glad I used that on this one about the kids wearing their school uniforms. And then on the third point, I think that when you're talking about problems with the students, I think you should go back to the evidence that you used on the first point and remind us that this extensive study found no relationship to behavior. So this idea that uniforms are going to fix that problem doesn't appear to be supported by any evidence. And then you give kind of some counterclaims of other things that might produce problems. Ethnic and racial issues, or probably maybe somebody's disability, but those are all asserted. And the truth is, you could probably make a general statement here and get away with it that says, look, kids do not need the way you dress to make fun of you, and all you have to do is look at everybody in class and say, did you have somebody who picked on you for some reason that had nothing to do with your clothes? And most people will be able to think of an example in their head. Stupid haircut, dumb answer in class. What's your name? Kirkum, jerkum. I don't know, whatever the heck it is. There's got to be something that kids picked on people about. You got your ears flicked by the kids sitting behind you, that sort of stuff. The idea that uniforms have anything to do with that really seems like it's silly in comparison. But again, it's one of those places where you need to say, what's their evidence? You don't really have any evidence on this point, except that one study that you ought to make reference to again. I think that would help you. All right.